Israelis are completely divided over whether the country should hold new elections in September. 48% said they're for it. The other half are either opposed or uncertain. Now let's bring in Aaron Klein, Mideast bureau chief and senior investigative reporter at Breitbart. Aaron, it's great to see you here again on the show. So what are the chances that these new elections will be canceled? I mean, you have blue and white Yair Lapid saying that they'll support canceling the elections if Likud chooses a new leader.
The chances of Likud choosing a new leader are about zero. The chances of this election being canceled really, I think, depend on the legality of this. Nobody knows. It's very unclear. You have the Attorney General who said it just can't be done. Others say it can. I'm not even sure what the plan is other than the media reports, which are confusing. But the bottom line is that plurality of Knesset members would vote to not cancel the Knesset session. And then Bibi would somehow have to cobble together a unity government, but he'd be in the exact same place that he was a few weeks ago. So I'm not sure what can come.
Uncharted territory.
It's uncharted territory, and so would a new election be uncharted territory. In fact, actually, a new election, I think, could really be interesting right now because the question becomes, will there be a realignment or some sort of slight realignment of the Israeli electorate?
So let's talk about it, because it seems that if Israel is indeed going to the polls now with veteran players like Ehud Barak coming back to the forefront of Israeli politics, the political landscape is going to be so much different than the vote we saw back in April. And I guess you've seen the polls. They are predicting 6 seats for Ehud Barak, Likud and Blue and White Party getting 32 seats, which means that the right bloc will get 52 votes, and the left center will gain 61 votes, 61 seats. That's a real game changer.
Yeah,
here.
It could be. On the other hand, you have the religious parties, and I think after Avigdor Lieberman turned the religious issue with the IDF into a crisis, I think they're going to come out in droves. So you're going to see the religious parties, I think, highly motivated. And then also on the right, you have also a reorientation now of some of the parties that didn't cross the electoral threshold last time. Bennett this time is not going to be as brazen as he was to have his own party. He's clearly going to unite. You've got Moshe Feiglin also. But then on the left,
Shaked.
And Shaked. And then on the left, yes, it's a complete reorientation. I mean, Benny Gantz I don't know how excited the center was during this last election. Will they be more excited now if there are different coalitions on the left? Let's see.
Is there a dark horse, perhaps, in this race? I mean, earlier on, it seemed like Avigdor Lieberman could play spoiler. But again, now you have names that we're very familiar with, people from Israel's past, leaders, Ehud Barak, who's back in the picture. Could he really emerge as a contender?
As a contender for prime minister, I'm not so sure. The question really, I think, more to me is whether he's going to divide the blue and white vote. And then at the end of the day, whether voters on blue and white are going to be a little bit less motivated to come out at all. I mean, I think another election here is uncharted territory. On the one hand, we can't predict this. On the other hand, a lot of Israelis just might be angry at the overall situation and stay home, but then the right wing might not, the left wing might not. It's unpredictable. Meretz now has a new leader just earlier today.
I wanted to ask you about the chances of the Israeli opposition, the Oslo Accord coalition, the Meretz Party and the Labor Party, Avoda, to really make a change here. They failed to gain more than 10 seats back in April. They really failed it.
Yeah, and actually, when you look at the April election, it was a referendum in some ways on the right-wing vote right now. At least in 2019, the way the Israeli electorate believes, let's say, a little bit less or a lot less in the so-called two-state solution, which was a lot of the main driving force behind Meretz's latest campaign. So are they going now to switch also the conversation from two-state solution, joining with labor, to more social issues? And then is that even enough to cobble together something? But if labor and Meretz don't unite, I would be surprised.
Are we just, and is everybody just spinning their wheels at this point by talking about coalition building and strategy at this point? Is it ultimately going to come down to what happens with the far right and the ultra-religious parties here?
Yeah, it's also, as we saw in the last election, we have to be very careful when we look at the polls. that show Avigdor Lieberman right now with 7 seats, show Labour, Meretz, whatever it is. The polls were astronomically wrong. Even the exit polls the night of the election, disastrously wrong, in fact, for those networks. So much can happen between now and the election on so many levels. With Iran, is there going to be a confrontation in the Middle East, by the way? If there is, that within itself can change things probably more in the favor of
In a short
Bibi.
yes and no. Is it going to be more dangerous, more concerning for Prime Minister Netanyahu, this vote ahead in September?
Yeah, unquestionably, I think so. Even if he wins, by the way, bottom line, the question becomes...
That was a short yes and no.
Sure. Will they come for him after within his party?
Aaron Klein, thank you very much. It's good to see you as always.
Thank you.